We had a free companion flight certificate, and we're trying to decide where haven't we been before. And we came up with the idea of taking a trip to New Mexico. We start our trip in the town of Truth or Consequences here on the banks of the Rio Grande. This small town was actually named after the famous game show. In fact, where I am is Ralph Edwards Park. Not much of a park. Actually, not much of a city either, at least size-wise, just actually a couple of blocks, but very rustic looking, with a lot of interesting, very Western touches. And just about everybody here, man or beast, is pretty friendly. Did I mention this town is very Western? We really stayed at one of the nicest places in Truth or Consequences, but this really was just a stepping off point to go out and see some nature. We traveled narrow, windy, switchback-filled roads through the mountains, but the scenery was breathtaking. Now, there were a few exceptions, like this copper mine, but it in itself was pretty cool to look at. Our 3-hour drive ended at the Gila Cliff Dwellings. Now you think the drive was an adventure? How about the climb? Yeah, we got to walk. Way up there.
The trail actually comes around the base of this bluff, and you can see some people up there coming down. And it goes through that burned out section back to the bridge, and you're back home.
Okay, it's not really the length of the trail. It's only a quarter mile up there. It's probably more the age and general conditioning of the climber. As we climb to the cliff dwellings, we're going along a trail that's about a quarter of a mile. It's winding along a nice little creek and past some of these great big rocks. It gets steeper as you go, but at the end, the payoff is definitely worth it. The view is tremendous, and you get a great look at a long-lost civilization.
It's much cooler in the caves.
As we slip into the cave, it's a lot cooler, and as you can hear, it sounds different as my voice echoes through here. It's fascinating to see the elaborate living quarters fashioned inside these caves.
It probably burned some. You incorporated into yours.
Yeah.
So
That probably was a door. They had a
This was not the way that I chose to come down. And we had a bonus. We got to watch some very active hummingbirds. These are actually volcanoes. Not very big volcanoes, but volcanoes nonetheless. As you walk through this somewhat barren area, you do see some interesting plant life. And I just wish I could share with you the experience of the flies that are everywhere. They're quite annoying. This is part of Petroglyph National Monument. Here in this canyon, we're looking at Native American petroglyphs. They're actual paintings and etchings that were on cave walls and elsewhere. They're thousands of years old. As you can see behind me, we have kind of a nice way to climb, and we've come from kind of a nice distance as well. Certainly getting our exercise on this trip. Now it's time to head way up, over 10,000 feet.
We're going to be in the air for about 15 minutes, going from 6,559 feet to 10,378 feet. We are going up nearly 4,000 feet, so it's going to be a little cooler on top of the mountain than it is down here. It's also going to be a little bit windier, but it isn't too bad up there today. It's blowing about 20 to 25 miles per hour. We'll be going along 2.7 miles of cable at 13.6 miles per hour. That's about 20 feet per second. Fast enough to get us there, slow enough to be able to take a look at a few things. Tower 1 at 232 feet tall was the tallest man-made structure in New Mexico when it was built. built and has an 18-degree angle toward Albuquerque to give us a smoother ride. As we go up and over the tower, there will be a slight swing.
You can feel the tram swing a little bit just as we go past the tower. Just a little bit of a rocking motion, not too bad. Although there's a young one in the background who's not too happy.
Over on that second hill over there.
But when we got up to the top, the view was stupendous. There's a restaurant at the top, and we had a great meal. And we got to watch some people do something very risky, but very cool.
Action shot.
You have to make yourself enjoy it, because sometimes you are so busy flying and trying to max your climb and find the thermal lift that you kind of forget that how much you're enjoying it, and you kind of just have to say, hey, look around and realize, wow, this is incredible.
It's kind of a trendy area, more popular at night. It's got shops, it's got restaurants, but what it also has is some beautiful classic churches. And we end our trip in Albuquerque, along a portion of the famous Route 66.